Let me tell you that suicidal people don't want to die by suicide. They believe they have to. There's a categorical difference.
Kevin Hines speaks from a place of deeply painful personal experience. 10 years ago, Hines came very close to killing himself, leaping off the Golden Gate Bridge.
I walked on that bridge probably for 40 minutes, crying my eyes out.
Nobody said anything to you?
Nobody said anything.
19 years old at the time and suffering from a bipolar disorder, Kevin started to hallucinate.
Hallucinations telling me when I got to this bridge, jump now, die now, you must die, you're a horrible person, jump now.
Any discussion about preventing suicide should begin right here in San Francisco. More than 1,300 people have killed themselves by leaping off the Golden Gate Bridge since 1937, when the bridge opened. On average, that's 1 every 3 weeks for the last 73 years, which makes the Golden Gate Bridge the most popular place in the world to commit suicide.
The millisecond I hit free fall, the second my hands left the rail, my legs left the rail, I said, I don't want to die. What have I just done? What have I just done? God, please save me.
He hit the water at 75 miles an hour, crushing several of his vertebrae. But instead of joining those 1,300 people who jumped and died, Kevin Hines joined another club, one of about 30 known to have jumped and lived.
Of those people that have survived, 19 have come forward and said that the second they jumped, they didn't want to die.
Of course, the bridge most of us heard about this past week was New York's George Washington Bridge, where Tyler Clementi, a Rutgers University freshman and promising musician, jumped to his death. A secretly recorded video of Clementi in bed with another man had been posted online. The news that it was allegedly put there by his roommate caused protests against bullying to erupt on the Rutgers campus.
A lot of people are very upset and hurt that this could happen here and very surprised.
Clementi's impulse was the classic example of a permanent solution to a temporary problem that suicide prevention experts battle. Part of a national phenomenon that makes suicide the third leading killer of our country's youth. While they are far more likely to kill themselves by firearms, suffocation, and poisoning than by jumping, the latest thinking in preventing suicide is something called means reduction, eliminating access to ways people can kill themselves until the impulse passes and they can get help. Means reduction at the Golden Gate Bridge translates into plans for a net that will cost $45 million.
If it was there when I was attempting to jump, I would not have jumped.
It's the same idea behind the barriers that have gone up on the bridges over the gorges in Ithaca, New York, where 6 Cornell University students committed suicide last year. Dr. David Skorton is Cornell's president.
The question is, can one suicide lead to another through some sort of a copycat mechanism? And the answer is it can happen.
The experts fear the contagion effect that suicide can produce, especially among the young. So we're not going to show you any pictures of those who committed suicide here at Cornell, nor describe the circumstances of their deaths. One thing we can tell you, while you may often hear about stress or a bad breakup as the cause for a suicide, quite often they mask underlying mental health issues as the main explanation.
We have to get used to the idea that it's okay to raise our hand and say, I'm struggling.
Good morning. What do you have here? I'm Dave Skorton. I'm the president of the university.
Oh, you are?
Skorton, a physician for 36 years as well as a university president, feels the most important way to prevent suicides is to take away the stigma of seeking mental health care.
I'm going to tell you, Jim, there was a part of my life where I had struggles and I had counseling, and it turned me around and changed my life and blazed the trail for a successful career for me. So it's a very, very important thing to get past that stigma.
Just a few weeks ago at Cornell, the freshmen moved onto a campus where the professors, grad students, and resident advisors have been getting intensive training on the telltale signs of trouble.
This is called the Notice and Respond, Assisting Students in Distress program.
Complete with a video made with students from Cornell's theater department.
I'm so far behind on my work. There's your class, and then I have a paper and another class and a big exam on Friday.
Catherine Thrasher Carroll is the university's mental health promotion coordinator.
We hope that you feel some sense of responsibility that as members of a community that we want to watch out for each other. We really want to take care of each other.
The impulse often comes even earlier than college. In 2009, nearly 14% of U.S. high school students, that's almost 1 out of 7, reported they seriously considered attempting to kill themselves.
We don't always see the subtle symptoms because it's hard to sort out what's adolescent moodiness and what's the early signs of depression.
Lori Flynn missed her own daughter's signs before she attempted suicide. Her daughter survived, and Flynn is now passionate about early detection. She runs Columbia University's nationwide Teen Screen program, designed to identify 14 to 17-year-olds who are at risk. So far, more than 1 million kids have been screened in 1,000 testing locations.
We will ask the youngster, gosh, you've had problems here, serious problems, for quite some time. Why didn't you say anything? And the youngsters always come back with, nobody ever asked me. We ask.
Jamie Twarkowski asks as well, and his targets are young people other screening systems might miss.
We talk about some really difficult issues. We talk about issues that are complex and they're not simple.
Don't let us see me cry. Twarkowski tours the country, reaching out to teenagers and young adults at concerts and festivals.
Jamie, nice to meet you. We're trying to fight for people to believe that their life is worth living, is worth fighting for, that there is a sense of joy.
Twarkowski's crusade was born on the arms of a girl he knew.
She took a razor blade the night I met her, after I met her, and wrote a word that I probably can't say on camera. I wrote it across her forearm. She deeply believed this sense of failure and regret, that her 19 years on the planet didn't give her much to be proud of.
Twarkowski started an organization to write love on her arms. Funded mainly through the sale of T-shirts, the group's MySpace, Facebook, and Twitter responses number in the hundreds of thousands.
I think we were touching on a real need there, where people felt alone in their struggles, alone in their loneliness or their pain, and really trying to let people know or trying to believe the possibility that their story could have a different ending.
For Kevin Hines, that different ending now means he can spread the word through music videos that when it comes to suicide, prevention starts with discussion.
Not talking about it is getting us nowhere. Let's start talking about it on a regular basis, but let's talk about it properly.
Somewhere in the equation of helping young people in despair is not just getting them the information, but telling them in some way, I hear you, I see you, yeah, I'm with you.
I think hopefully there's an element of caring for this person, that they feel heard. I think we never know what can save a life, but I think it's important that we go there and that we try.
The stakes of not hearing those who are young and vulnerable were brought home to the students of Rutgers University, who mourn Tyler Clementi's death.
For something like this to happen, it's just unacceptable.
And to fight the unacceptable, the one key weapon seems to be to let struggling young people know they're not alone. Dr. David Skorton.
If we develop the social support, if we identify those who are struggling, if we make it okay to raise our hands and say, I need help, and if we restrict the means to follow an impulse, we will prevent suicides.